A counterfeit aircraft part nearly made it onto my flight in Brussels. I only found out months later. I almost didn't make my connecting flight that day, and looking back, that delay probably saved my life. Not because of weather, not because of a strike. The aircraft I was supposed to board got pulled from service 2 hours before boarding, after a maintenance crew found something wrong with a hydraulic fitting that had been installed 8 months earlier. The part had the right stamp, the right paperwork, even the right serial number. On every piece of documentation that mattered, it was completely legitimate. It was also fake. A maintenance technician in Brussels caught it, almost by accident, because the part felt slightly wrong under a torque wrench. That's the system working. Most of the time, nobody notices until something fails 35,000 feet in the air. Here's how a fake part actually gets into a real aircraft, and it starts somewhere boring: a scrapyard. Decommissioned aircraft, especially old Soviet-era fleets sold off after the Cold War, get stripped for parts, and most of that is completely legal. Aviation runs on a massive legitimate market for used components, because a working bolt off a retired 737 is just as good as a new one, at a fraction of the price. The problem starts when someone scrapes the serial number off a part that failed inspection, stamps on a new one, and sells it as airworthy. The Federal Aviation Administration has a name for this. They call it a suspected unapproved part. That era of enforcement was driven in large part by Mary Schiavo, then the Department of Transportation's Inspector General, whose office secured more than 150 criminal convictions related to counterfeit parts. Legitimate parts go through something called Parts Manufacturer Approval, or PMA, a formal FAA certification process governed under 14 CFR Part 21. A counterfeit bolt costs almost nothing to produce. A real one, manufactured to aerospace tolerance and certified through the actual chain of custody, can cost 20 to 30 times more. That gap is where the entire black market lives. The CFM56, the most common commercial jet engine in the world, is also the most counterfeited engine type, and that's not a coincidence. High demand, aging fleets, and a massive global aftermarket create exactly the conditions counterfeiters rely on. The part crosses borders next, and this is the step people assume is the safety net. Customs and border security technology has gotten remarkably good at scanning for drugs, weapons, and currency, but it was never built to verify whether a titanium fitting in a crate labeled aircraft hardware certified actually matches the paperwork stapled to it. Customs checks that goods match their declared category. It doesn't, and largely can't, verify whether the part inside is what the manufacturer's stamp claims it is. That verification is supposed to happen further down the chain, by the maintenance facility, the airline, the mechanic with the torque wrench. On the European side, the EASA, the European Aviation Safety Agency, is supposed to provide an additional layer of oversight, just as the FAA does in the United States. Both agencies were operating in Brussels that day. Neither one caught what a single technician did with his hands, which means a part can sail through an international border with a clean inspection and still be completely counterfeit. Here's the part that should bother you more than it probably does. You've flown on a plane with a counterfeit part on it. Statistically, almost certainly, you already have. Back in 1989, Partnair Flight 394 broke apart over the North Sea after counterfeit bolts holding the tail section failed. All 55 people on board were killed. In 2023 and 2024, a UK-based company called AOG Technics was caught supplying CFM56 engine parts with forged documentation. More than 160 aircraft had to be grounded while operators verified their components. Detection has gotten better. Manufacturers now etch microscopic identifiers into legitimate parts that are nearly impossible to replicate. Industry coalitions formed as recently as 2024 have pushed for standardized digital tracking across the global MRO, or maintenance, repair, and overhaul sector. But that technology is expensive. It's nowhere near universal, and it does nothing for the millions of older parts already circulating through scrapyards and subcontractors with nothing but a stamped serial number to vouch for them. That hydraulic fitting in Brussels never made it back onto an aircraft. It got pulled, bagged, and handed over for investigation, and somewhere in a regulatory filing, it became one more data point in the Federal Aviation Administration's count of suspected unapproved parts. I made a later flight that day, slightly annoyed, completely unaware of what I'd find out months afterward. The technician who caught it never got a headline. He just felt something slightly wrong under a wrench and trusted that feeling enough to ground a plane. If a story like this is the kind of thing you want to keep running into, that's what this channel is for. Like and subscribe, and the next one will be waiting. That's the entire system, really. Not technology, not custom scanners, not paperwork. Just somebody, somewhere down the chain, still paying attention.